This 1983 Old Milwaukee Pontiac LeMans was driven by Winston Cup legend Tim Richmond and was owned by Raymond Beadle's Blue Max racing team. This car ran in the Nascar Winston Cup Series in various body styles. It's been restored in the Richmond Blue Max livery. The Blue Max team had Richmond as a driver from 1982 to 1986, and he drove this car in 1983, 1984, and 1985. The car was originally built as a Buick Regal for the MC Anderson racing team and was driven by Cale Yarborough. In 1982, MC Anderson shut down the race team in Savannah, Georgia, and the shop and various cars were sold to Raymond Beadle and Blue Max Racing, who opened a shop in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, this car here is a pretty unique car, Pontiac LeMans. First year this car came about was 1981 when Waddell Wilson and Bobby Allison, with Harry Ranier as the team owner, showed up to Daytona 500 with the Pontiac LeMans. It was on a list of the cars that were eligible to run, but it had been overlooked by all the race teams. So they showed up. There were no templates to go on the car. They waited 2 days before they got on the racetrack. I think they got 2 or 3 laps of practice and they sat on the pole. And that really made everybody mad. But a very successful car. I think they finished second in the Daytona 500 that year with Waddell. First car to ever qualify over 200 miles per hour at Talladega with Benny Parsons. That's Harry Ranier's car. So in 1983, let's see, we had a great race team, but it was a transition year. So some of us were over with Waddell Wilson, where Cale Yarborough was driving, and then Tim Brewer, Harold Elliott came from Junior Johnson's, and Raymond Beadle had bought MC Anderson's racing team, and they moved it to Charlotte, and they had the sponsor of Old Milwaukee on this car, and Tim Richmond as a driver, and they wanted to run the Le Mans, and NASCAR wanted to bring the Le Mans back. So after taking the spoiler away in '81 and the car sort of got abandoned, NASCAR gave more spoiler to the Le Mans. So Waddell Wilson, Harry Ranier, they decided to run it, and then Tim Richmond was driving this car. So about mid-season, some of us left Harry Ranier's and went over with Tim Brewer and Harold Elliott. Harold was the engine builder, Tim was a crew chief. And the race team at that time was Tim, Harold, Barry Dodson, my brother, Pete Peterson, Ed Thrapp. So we had an all-star race team, and then you had, I was on the team. Red Dog Buddy Barnes was our truck driver. And we had a lot of fun racing. We were pretty good team. Tim Richmond, young, fearless driver, driving this Pontiac. But I was young, 22 years old, wanted to get in full-time. Tim Brewer finally gave me that chance to go full-time. And I had about 5 bosses because I was the kid on the team, which was all right with me. I just wanted to race. So I remember this car here and Tim driving this car. I remember some really great moments. I know we won at Pocono with it. Pictures of me and Tim sitting on the roof celebrating, holding the flag in my teeth and the trophy. And as Tim Richmond put it, we didn't win all the races, but we didn't lose any parties. You know, he was great friends with Dale Earnhardt. We had a lot of events at Tim's house on the weekends. Just good, fun, friendly get-togethers when we weren't racing, but we had a good time at the racetrack as well. That's back when, racing wasn't quite as much a business as it was a sport back then. So as the '83 season started rolling along, I think it was Barry Dodson, Ed Thrapp, Pete Peterson, and myself. We had all went to work for Harry Ranier and Waddell Wilson. So we began the season there, went to Daytona, and Barry had built a really nice Monte Carlo that Cale Yarborough flipped in qualifying. Was going to set the closed speed record in the stock car till it flipped, so we couldn't count the qualifying lap. So with Cale, we pulled out a Le Mans, just like this one here. Hardy sponsoring the car, pulled out a backup car, and we won the Daytona 500 in '83. Well, about mid-season, I think it was the second trip to Pocono, Tim Brewer and Harold Elliott was over there with Tim Richmond in this car, and they weren't real happy with the team they had, so they had made an offer to Barry, Pete, Ed, and I'm just a weekend guy then, but for myself to come and do tires. So we jumped ship middle of the season, And I remember all of us jumping in the truck and arriving at Pocono with a new race team. You know, we're all on new teams. And Waddell, I know he was scrambling to get him some new guys. But we got our old team back together. And we didn't win Pocono that race, but we did run really good. And from the rest of the season, we really performed well. As I said, we had a pretty good all-star team. We had a lot of fun, too. I remember this car at Darlington when Tim raced it at Darlington. And I'm not sure why, but he might have bumped into someone and sheared the hood pins. And I remember him going down the backstretch and the hood flying off of this car. And I bet it flew 150 feet in the air, and it's a miracle it didn't get into the grandstands. So '83, we all got together. We had about 3 race cars, and then along came the Grand Prix and longer nose on the car. The thing that was special about this car was the aerodynamics and the back deck lid. Most of the cars had more of a sloping a non-sloping back glass, where the Le Mans had a sloping back glass rear window, and it made for a better transition in the wind tunnel and for the wind. So the car had a very little drag on it. With a flat window, it had drag. It would cause wind to attach to the car. So that's what made this car really special. So when we got the Grand Prix, we didn't want to run it. We wanted to keep running the Le Mans, but Pontiac wanted to run the new model. So a little bit of tit for tat. We would race the Le Mans some and then race the Grand Prix some. In building this car, when we were at Blue Max, Tim Brewer had been at Junior Johnson's, and all they ever worked on was rear steer cars. Well, when he got to Blue Max and took over that deal for Raymond Beetle, there was just front steer cars. So he wanted to build a car rear steer that he was more familiar with. He felt like it'd perform better for us. So we built a rear steer car called Sadie. We named all our cars. And I remember Tim Brewer saying, we're going to wear this car out. It was a real thrash for us to get it built during the season. Hard to do when you were running 30 races a year and you had 6 guys on a race team and you only had 3 race cars. But we got it done, and we started performing really well. And in '84, everything we had in the shop was rear steer cars. With a rear steer, all your steering elements are behind the cross member. With a front steer, they're in front. So sometimes the driver's sensation would be a little darty with a rear steer car than a front steer. But it worked well, and that was the reason for going with this. So when you had a rear steer car that Tim was comfortable working on, Tim Brewer, and then you had this aerodynamic package, it made a special race car right here. So to tell you what an impact this Pontiac LeMans had in NASCAR, it was a great car. Aerodynamically, it was a wonderful car. It had great downforce and not a lot of drag. So in '85, when Pontiac came and wanted us to run the 2+2, it was a big, boxy car, longer car, and didn't perform as well, and it's really sad to watch this go. We had to run the 2+2. Once they got all those cars into production, then we were able to run at Daytona. But what's ironic about that, in '88, when Pontiac came back with the Grand Prix, same team, same guys, we won the championship with Rusty Wallace. The new Pontiac was very similar, aerodynamic and body-wise, to the old Le Mans. So we brought back a race car so we could do some damage with it. So this particular car, driven by Tim Richmond here in its original state, Le Mans in '83 and '84. Then '85, we went to a Grand Prix that Tim Richmond drove, and then Rusty Wallace in '86, 2+2 Pontiac, all on this chassis, and now it's restored back to its original condition as a Le Mans that Tim Richmond drove. But awesome race car. This car is special to me. I got great memories of it. I was the one that got to put Tim Richmond in the car every Sunday for a race. I fixed his water jug. I got his radio stuff ready. I'd get in the car with him. I got pictures of me in the car with him. I remember that year the Detroit Tigers won the World Series, and they took us all up there, Stroh's Brewery in Old Milwaukee, to a Monday night baseball game with Tim. A great time we had at that. But just this race car here and the memories that I have of it. Winning at Pocono with it. We won a race at Wilkesboro with it. A really good race team. But what's so special is Tim Richmond, friendship that we had. He was friends with all the guys on the team, but my personal friendship with him, he was a great guy. He was a great race car driver, but just a good human being.
In 2003, the car was recovered by Bill Rhine of Rhine Enterprises from a field in Denver, North Carolina, and was stored for another 8 years. In 2011, Rhine Enterprise made the decision to restore the car back in the Tim Richmond Old Milwaukee 27 livery. The car's restoration took approximately 1 year and was completed just prior to the Monterey Historics reunion at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. The car was sold, and its new owner, Racer, elected to make its debut back to racing at Monterey, where Winston Cup disc brake cars were to make their first ever laps on the track, alongside many of the same cars it originally raced against in the 1980s. The car has since been raced and showcased at other historic racing events and on tour at special events such as the NASCAR Institute of Technology, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame. This Pontiac LeMans, the driver, and its original race team are as iconic as Winston Cup itself, and it's synonymous with the racing rivalries that made stock car racing popularity explode in the 1980s. It's good to know that many of these famous NASCAR race cars still survive and have been lovingly restored back to their former glory. Welcome back, number 27. You've been missed.
My daddy's buried on that hill. When he died, there was no will. Just this land of moonshine still, and the blood burning in my veins. This 45.
I know when Benny Parsons drove this car, we did have a helmet that weighed 100 pounds. If you take all the inner linings out of a helmet and you pour it full of lead, it's amazing how much it can weigh. So I know when we went through inspection, we would lay the practice helmet on the console. So when the inspector looked in the car, you were allowed to leave the helmet in there. The hard part was when you got ready for the race, we would act like we forgot the helmet with the radio. Oh, somebody go get the race helmet, we forgot. So when you're going back to the truck with the 100-pound helmet, you had to look really cool back that it didn't weigh 100 pounds, so the strongest guy with a right arm would carry the helmet back. So we ran that for a while. We ran 100 pounds light, but we probably weren't doing as much as we could. I think Junior Johnson was 300 or 400 pounds light at that time.
I swear to God, I won't back down, and I don't run. I am a son of a gun. I talk slow and you talk quick. You think I'm a stupid hit. You brought the pen to the gunfight slick. You must have lost your mind. Want me to sign my name, take your dollars and leave my claim. Well, I think you're just the same, but I guess I'd rather die. I carry on, I hold the flame, a long line, the family name is written deep in this ground. I swear to God,